Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today at EcoTrust. I so appreciate it. My name is Sarah Rothenfluch. I am the relatively new Executive Director here at DFS. 4 months in, which means I can no longer completely blame being new for all of the mistakes that I make. Fortunately, the team and staff and volunteers and board here are so amazing that they catch me on all of those things. Obviously, creating an event during COVID can be a very challenging thing. Are we virtual? Are we in person? Are we serving Eggs Benedict, or are we doing muffins out of a box? I'm sorry, but the muffins won because we decided, obviously, we wanted to be as safe as possible. So thank you for all of you for taking the time and for being here in person. We appreciate it just so very much. I'd also like to thank our sponsors today because they stuck with us. While we were doing all of that deciding about the Benedict and the muffins, they stayed and they said, we are supporting DFS no matter what. Our presenting sponsors are Greenbrier Companies and US Bank. We're also supported by the Noto Group, JGP, Financial Management, and the other companies listed there today. Great. You know, I wanted you guys to see that video that we started off with today, partly because it's the video that I ran into when I was Googling Dress for Success when I was thinking about this job. When I watched that, I realized that this organization is so much more than that dress, than that suit, right? It is really about the family, about the kids, about the friends and the community. It is about that wide ripple of people that are impacted when we help one woman. I realized that, and that's when I said, this is the place. This is where I want to spend my time. I am so excited. But now that I've been here for 4 months, that all stays 150% true. But there's something else I zone into. That was Yolanda Morales. You saw her in the video, and she said, if I want to be self-sufficient, if I want to move in my career, I really need to take something every time I come to one of those meetings. And I understand now that it's not about us. It's not about us giving something to those women. It's those women walking in our doors, in person or virtual doors, and saying, I kind of need some help. I want to be here. They are brave. They are brave women. And they are the ones who are actually doing the work. We provide services, we offer a helping hand, we support, we listen, and we care, but they're taking the risk. And they're sitting in the courses. And they're getting out and applying for the jobs. They are doing the work. And it's so important for us to remember that. Sorry about the glasses. You know, I'm over 40, and it's just like on and off and on and off. So I think it's also really important for us to remember that that journey is a lot more difficult for many people. If you are transgender or non-binary, if you are a veteran, if you live with a disability, if you are Black or Hispanic, that journey becomes even more difficult. It is even harder to walk in the door. There are even more challenges. And we need to remember that all of those people have all of those multifaceted, intersectional parts of their lives. Yesterday when we came to set up, some of the table numbers who weren't connected to specific companies said individuals, table 3, individuals, table 6. And I was like, well, that sounds kind of weird. You know, we shouldn't really do that. But when I woke up this morning, I was like, you know, we should have kept that. Because that's a reminder that all of us are individuals. Every single one of us comes with a history and a life and a connection and hard things that you've had to deal with. And it's a reminder that all of those women are dealing with that same stuff. So today, you're going to hear a conversation that I had with Joi Gordon, who's the outgoing CEO of Dress for Success Worldwide. I'm afraid that A, because she's in New York, and B, because it's her birthday, she was unable to join us in person or live virtually. However, I hope you'll enjoy a conversation that I'm going to have with her. We're also going to speak with some of our supporters, including Stacey Dodson, who's here from US Bank. But I think in light of everything that we're thinking about and thinking about the individual and the client who's at the center of everything, I'd like to begin with someone very important to hear today, and that's Leticia Christopherson. Leticia, please join me up here. I think we have a microphone all set for you. I know. You can stand up if that's more comfortable, whatever's best. So Leticia is a graphic designer for the Washington County Sheriff's Office. She is also a client and has been a client here at Dress for Success. Leticia, would you tell us a little bit about your story and what brought you to Dress?
Sure. Can you hear me? Okay. Let's see. Where to start? So I used to work for the YWCA in Seattle a long time ago, and I don't know if anybody's familiar with the YWCA in downtown Seattle, but they have a Dress for Success underneath. I was their graphic designer for the YWCA, so I did some cross promotions and campaigns, and upstairs is a shelter still. And so I really got involved with Dress for Success just to see the clients and who were coming in and coming out happy and excited to see their wardrobe change. And so that was in my early 20s. Then we had kids, we moved around, we ended up here in Portland, and then I was kind of back to square one, finding where do I begin for this job search? What do I do with my career? Where do I want to start over again, I guess? And so the great thing about Dress for Success is they do a lot of classes, fast-track classes, to get women like myself back on track. And so I started there, taking those classes, meeting people, and that was pre-COVID, of course. So once I started doing those classes, and it's just that confidence building, getting that, oh yeah, I know I can do this. So, and of course, Dress for Success was there all the way, and I got a job, and the great thing about Dress for Success, they don't stop there. We are included into this professional women's group where we can take classes not only to help us with our careers, to really just evolve as women out there. So, and meet great people too. So I have been in the group, professional women group, for about 4 years, since moving here about 7 years ago. So it's been quite a long ride, I guess. And COVID hit, and Dress for Success was right there with me. So I don't know if you want me to go into that, or if you...
Yeah, would you tell us a little bit about how COVID did impact you and your family? You have 2 daughters, is that right?
Yes. So, let's see, that was a year and a half ago now, which is crazy to think. A year and a half ago, I was in a great company, a full-time position. I was doing web design. I was balancing, family and life. And then when COVID hit, it seemed like, what are we going to do with our kids? What's going to go on with schools? Are we have to take them out? Are we going to be their teachers. And my husband and I were just so confused, just like the world. We didn't know what was going to happen. And I had been in my company about 3 years up to there, and I had really thought, this is my forever home. You know, I don't want to go look for something else. So, but our minds had to shift to, okay, what is best for the family? So I thought, well, I could do part-time. You know, I can balance, hopefully, doing their regular life during the day, teaching them as much as I could. As well as I could. I'm not a teacher. And so my husband and I thought, okay, let's ask for a part-time job for me, working from home. And then we said, well, we can't do anything else other than that. I had to leave or do part-time. So I wasn't sure how to ask for this. And, you know, that's one of the things I think a lot of women had to deal with, a quick reaction to what had been happening. And so I had to give them almost a letter of resignation, like, hey, I really need to be at home. I need to work part-time or I have to leave. And the company got bought out a year prior to that, so almost they saw me as just another person to lay off. So I had to leave that job. I was really sad about it, but I knew it was the best for my family. Of course, focused on the family, summer came. What am I supposed to do? Look for a job. So luckily my family, my girls finished school just fine. Everything went well, luckily, you know. And so it was time for me to focus on what my next step was. And with technology now, you know, everything was done through Zoom. So going into fast track again, I mean, learning how to do Zoom again and learning how to interview through Zoom, that was a big step for me, because I've always come into interviews and here's my portfolio, here's what I do, but then I had to do this all virtually. So, and that's just another, I know, something harder to do for myself. I don't know. School doesn't prepare you for that. I think life doesn't prepare you for interviewing in a screen and how to look at the little green button and look happy. So yeah, Dress for Success was great about giving me those tools, getting me out there again. And the great thing is I had that PWG group still, even though I wasn't employed, they still let me come in and get those classes and feel like I was with friendly faces again and being in a community that was for me. Because, you know, you do so much for your family, it's almost like you forget about yourself. So
there was an article in the New York Times fairly recently, and it said, when COVID hit America, the country went to its backup plan, mothers.
Yeah, true.
Leticia, I so appreciate you sharing even the small part of your story today and for everything that you have brought to Dress over the years. I hope that some of you will have the opportunity to meet Leticia after our muffins in a box and get a chance to talk to her a little bit and see just how amazing of a woman she is.
Oh,
Leticia, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I better take my mask with me.
So now you get to see that video that I was telling you about. Joi Gordon is the outgoing CEO of Dress for Success Worldwide. Dress started in New York City in a small apartment or a small building in the basement of a church. Joi was there almost from the beginning. She was working as an assistant DA in the city. She called Dress in order to donate a suit that she had. And by the time she was off that call, she was a board member. Just like some of you in this room, just saying, and if you're not already, be careful if I talk to you. And since then, Joi has seen and led that company or our organization to a spot where we are in 150 cities, 25 countries, and have served 1.2 million people. So I hope that you enjoy this conversation with Joi.
Joi, it is so nice to spend some time with you today. Thank you so much. When you announced your retirement from Dress for Success on LinkedIn recently, there were some comments in the thread. They included, "Your legacy will forever have an impact. You are a world changer. You are an outstanding role model, and the world is a better place because of you." When you think back to your career, what stands out for you?
Wow, you know what? Even though I read every single comment, when you read it back to me, my heart fluttered because, it's all about how you show up in the world. And my mother always said, what's the most important thing is, what do people say when you're not in the room? And I felt like those comments were people's reactions and reflections of how they saw me show up in the world. Dress for Success has allowed me to live my best life ever and do great work and make a profound impact on women's lives, communities, children's lives, but more importantly, it has shaped and changed my life. So this has been just an amazing 20 plus years at this organization.
You just mentioned your mom. Could you tell me a little bit more about her? From the stuff I've read, it sounds like she's had a really big impact on your life.
Absolutely. So I start by saying she's healthy and well, knock on wood. Still talk to her about 5 times a day. I was raised as a single, her only child. And although her and my dad were not together, they were very good friends and raised me jointly, but she primarily raised me. And to be able to afford me the things that she thought I needed to have in her world to be successful, she worked really hard. And really hard sometimes meant she held 3 jobs at any one given time while going to school to further her education, to get a college degree. And it then allowed me to go to private schools. She ensured that I not only got into college, but she paid for anything that tuitions didn't cover. So I exited both college and law school debt-free because of my mom. She is the hardest working woman I have ever had the privilege of meeting. But in almost every woman I meet at Dress for Success, I see a little bit of my mom. And so I guess that's what made me work so hard for them, because I knew how hard she worked for me.
Wow, that's amazing. I think there's such a privilege to have a mom like that in your life. That's just amazing. Now, you've been a working mother during pretty much your entire time at Dress. Is that right?
At the entire time at Dress for Success.
How has that been for you? How has that balance worked for you?
I like to say that, my daughter who's 25 and my son is 23, Dress for Success is my middle child, right? So I've been, a mom for my entire duration involved with Dress for Success. There's that careful work-life balance that most mothers need to know how to manage. At times I did it great, and at times I didn't do it so well, right? I had to juggle the travels of Dress for Success. We're in, as you mentioned, multiple countries, multiple cities around the world, and my role was to visit and show up for the Dress for Successes. So I missed some pretty big milestones for my kids. I try to make it to all the important moments, but I'm sure there were times I weren't there. But what I did try to make sure of was that when I was present, that I was fully present. So if I was available for a son's basketball game, I was the loudest cheering parent in the room. I needed him to know I was there. And sometimes he was like, no, I heard you. Yeah, thanks, Mom. So, I mean, you show up when you can, but I know I did as good as I could. And I see that in the reflection of who they are as good citizens today. So I did something right.
Oh my gosh, I bet you did a lot more than something right. Do you see that experience that you're living and the experience of your mom in the clients that
Oh,
you're helping?
absolutely. 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 Because my mom had to make tough decisions. She moved us from New York City for a job opportunity in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She had no family nor friends, but she saw it as access to her being able to afford her own home, for me to be able to go to school that was safe. And she made really difficult decisions. And I think what I also saw in my mother was a level of resilience. And that is the common thread with the women of Dress for Success who walk through our doors. Having overcome multiple obstacles in their life, they have strength. They have courage, they have fortitude, determination, and resilience. And that's what I see in the women of Dress for Success.
I think that's something that's really compelling to me when I hear this, is something that I think we're all trying to do in this organization is to help people understand that it's more than the suit, right? That we do so much more, and that it's more than just one woman that we're helping when they come in. It's their children and family and community. Can you talk at all about sort of the larger impact of helping one woman, what
Oh,
that
it's
looks
that
like?
exactly what you said, Sarah, right? It's the ripple effect, right? So you can't help her and not help her children, right? Because if you want to really break the cycle of poverty, and the cycle of poverty is often something you're born into, right? So in some cases, it can be second or third generational reliance upon government programs and income streams. But if you truly want to break that, oftentimes that cycle of poverty is broken from the outside in. So it's access, right? It's access to affordable housing and a safe community. It's not only getting a job, but a job that's paid a livable wage. These are the kinds of things that can break that cycle of poverty and make an impact in a person's life. And so then her children's lives are different because of it. The community now she lives in is different because of it. And then her network changes. And when your network changes, your net worth changes. So it's a ripple effect that has the potential to change lives of many, not just one woman.
When you started with Dress back in the late 90s, did you realize or see this big ripple effect and just how much impact this organization could have?
We did, from the very early stages, although people's perception of us far into the 2000s was that Dress for Success was an organization that gave clothing out to women who needed it. And for some people, it was an end stop there. We've always been doing work around professional development from the very beginning. But it was certainly, we were more known as a clothing organization. We knew pretty early on that if we wanted to be able to help women define true success, it had to be more than the clothes that we gave her. It really needed to be the tools that we gave her. And so we started to develop professional development tools for women, everything from financial literacy to all sorts of workforce development practices to not only help her land a job, but keep her job and then begin to climb and soar. And so we knew early on that this was going to be much more than clothing. We had to get other people to see that.
Absolutely. And I'm sure it's something we're all still doing.
Right.
What were those? Can you paint a picture of that church basement, was it, in Manhattan, where this all started? What was that like?
Yeah, that's a picture worth painting. It was dark, it was dim, it was crowded, but it was filled with hope and love and, deep commitment to these women. And it wouldn't have mattered that they had to walk down 12 stairs to get there. For whatever reason, it still felt like the sun was shining through it all. And for the women who walked through those doors, it was beautiful. It was magnificent. It was the highest end shopping experience that they would have afforded to them. And so it wasn't so much about, how you went down, but it was all about how you came up, because it was beautiful to watch them come up the steps and to see a garment bag in hand, or a brown bag filled with shoes and beauty items and clothing. And the stuff that you couldn't see in the bag was the confidence she wore. And so we made it magical, even though it was a lot of steps going down.
I bet it was. Man, I feel like that must have just been so magical and empowering for you and the team who were really getting this started, because it was just starting something brand new, right? And you must have looked at those women and just thought, wow, look at what a difference I just made for this one person.
And it was, and it still is for me. That's what's incredible at Dress for Success. I remember, working in that basement of the church and watching the women come in, kind of downtrodden, head down, expecting little of nothing, and then watching them to come up and seeing a completely different person. It still happens at Dress for Success. I don't think women expect much when they hear that somebody's going to give them something that they don't have to pay for. But we wow women at Dress for Success. That's the experience, right? We want to knock her socks off. We want to make her feel better than she's ever felt. We want her to stand taller, feel better. We want to bring a little sunshine into her life. And it still amazes me. And it's still something that I'll come out of my office when I hear a woman, when I hear her laughter, or when I hear her cry, or when I hear her joy, just to see her. And to make sure more than anything, Sarah, that she sees that I see her. Because I think a lot of people walk through this earth and feel invisible. And that's the worst feeling you could ever have, is to think that you don't matter and that people can't see you. So for me, I want women to know I see them. And that's what I've been doing for 20 plus years, is making sure that I show up.
Wow. And you've done that now far from Manhattan. You've done that around the world. What was the key to success to go from that one spot to now 150 cities? 150 cities.
150 cities, 25 countries around the world. I credit the brilliance of this Dress for Success movement to our founder, Nancy Lublin, and how she created this organization. We could have created it that all of the Dress for Successes would have had to been run and budgets out of the headquartered. Yet she followed the Dunkin' Donuts franchise model, and she thought it's worth giving something away to get something. And so we gave away licenses to start up Dress for Successes. And it's been the power of growth for us. It's what scaled us. It's what took this basement operation and now has turned it into a global entity. To have that level of footprint around the world is pretty tremendous. But, it really is our version of a franchise in the nonprofit world is how we're operating Dress for Success, but ensuring that the DNA of Dress for Success, no matter where you are in any country, is the same. And I can tell you, as someone who has traveled around the world visiting Dress for Successes, and more importantly, meeting women who walk through those doors, they say the exact same thing about Dress for Success. It doesn't matter what country I go to. They say when I came here, in whatever language, they were treated with dignity and respect. And that is Dress for Success.
Absolutely. I want to take 1 second and talk about the realities right now with COVID-19. How have you seen that impact the women that you're helping?
Well, of course, we all know about the She Session. We all know that a lot of women have dipped out of the workforce because they're being pulled in multiple directions. They're, caregivers for their aging parents. They're, for the past year, they had to be the at-home teacher for their kids who were going to school from home. Some of them lost their jobs because they were working in vulnerable roles, maybe in hospitality, restaurants, hotels, businesses that shut down because of the pandemic. So for a lot of women, their life is in flux. And for them, there's going to have to be a reboot, a start over. And for some of them, they're going to choose to just stay out of the workforce. And we've got to be able to forgive women for whatever their choices are, because that's not what it's really about. We want to make sure that those women who want to work and need to work, that Dress for Success is there for them. And that we not only give them the clothing they need for interviews, if that's important, but we give them the community they need. And so our organization really turned online. We started providing virtual services, created an online community for women now that has thousands of women in it. And it's just, how we show up. And so women used to have to come to us. Now we go to them. And that's the difference between Dress for Success pre-COVID and post. But nothing's changed. We still have community.
As you prepare for your next chapter, which I know we'll find out about one day.
Yes, one day.
What sticks with you? What sticks with you? Is there a client that comes to mind? Is there a memory that you're just going to hold close to your heart as you leave?
Yeah, so I hold every woman close to my heart. I think the messages that I heard from people when I left, which really volumed into thousands, it was when the clients would talk to me about their experience with me. Every client message was just powerful. And it did a little something to my heart. So my heart is now this big. But I will tell you a story about a woman I met. I honored a woman 3 years ago, a woman by the name of Anu Iyengar. And I honored her because I had read an article about her being the most senior level woman on Wall Street at the time. And today she's the global head of mergers and acquisitions for JP Morgan Chase. And so she's a big deal here in New York. And so I went to her folks and said I wanted to honor her. And within 24 hours, I got back a message that yes, she would allow me to honor her. What I didn't know was when Anu stood on stage to accept her award from Dress for Success, she talked about when she walked through the door of Dress for Success as a client some 20 years ago, that she came to America from India to go to Smith College, and then she came to New York City to go to grad school. And as she was completing grad school, one of her professors said to her, Anu, you need clothing for an interview. You've got to polish yourself up. You're going on a big interview at JP Morgan Chase, and how you look matters. And they referred her to Dress for Success. I thought I was honoring a woman that didn't know Dress for Success. And what I was honoring was a woman who had Dress for Success in her heart for 20 plus years, when she came to that basement of a church and we suited her in the suit that she went on her interview in. And so I think there's a lot of Anu Iyengars out there in the world. I'm sure today, some 20 plus years later, a lot of women walk through our door for that entry-level job, and they have gone on to ascend to something brilliant and bright. And so I just want to make sure that there are Dress for Success doors open for all women.
And there are stairs to climb, right?
Always stairs to climb.
Joi, it's such a total pleasure spending time with you today. And I wish you the best of luck in your next chapter. And I just know how much you'll be missed by everyone here at Dress. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Every time I hear that, I hear something slightly new. And there are two things that are particularly standing out for me right now. One is Joi saying, I want those women to know that I see them, that so many women don't feel seen. And I need to tell you that the staff at Dress here in Portland are some of the kindest and caring people that I have ever met. We did something recently that really showed that they saw these women. It was a Saturday, and we did what was called a resource fair. And essentially what it was is we provided new bras for women who needed them. So 84 women came into our office that day over a 4-hour period. A lot of people came in with their heads, sort of kind of down a little, like, I'm coming to get a bra, like that's kind of weird maybe, I don't know. And they came in, and if they didn't know their size or they ummed and ahed about it, they were taken quietly to the back and they were sized. So they were given something that was perfect for them. If they did know their size, this one I thought was beautiful, is we had created these little cards that were like blue for 36 and purple for 40, and they had these little stickers on them, elephants for E. So they got this card that basically represented their size. So when they came up to talk to a volunteer who was going to help choose a bra for them, they didn't have to yell like 34A or like 48 double E. They just could hand them the card. Those women, they each left with 2 brand new bras that were donated from individuals or from corporate sponsors. They also left with beauty consultations and gifts from Ulta Cosmetics that were there. They also left, 32 of them left with free wigs that suited them and that would help lift them up from the wig station here in Portland. And thanks to a lot of sponsors and donors, they also left with a gift bag with $100 or more worth of supplies for them. Those women left supported. They left empowered. They left with their heads held high, and they said, I have some new tools in order to succeed. It was just a magical day, and the staff at Dress are the ones that made all those little details really, really work. Let's give them a hand, actually. The other thing that stood out from that interview with Joi was the Dunkin' Donuts model, which I just loved that she put it that way. Essentially what that means, of all of these chapters or organizations of Dress, each one is completely independent. We take the Dress name and the Dress logo. We take some of the parts of the planning that we need to do, like the clothing donations and the fast track program. But aside from that, we are completely financially independent. We completely stand here on our own 2 feet. And we can only do that with the support of people that we're talking about today, and we can only do that with people like you who are here in this room. We served about 1,000 women last year, and the staff who I was just buttering up should cover their ears when I say that I hope in 2 years it's actually 1,500, because we have so much room to grow. We are reaching just a fraction of the women who are out there who really could use that helping hand. The number of people caught in a cycle of poverty, caught in a situation where they are dealing with domestic violence and they can't get out because they don't have the resources to do it. We need to reach them. We need to have the resources to get out there and to let them know that we're here, to get out to other community organizations and say, let us be there for the women that you help. We need to have the supplies for everyone. We need to have new scrubs for women who want to work in hospitals and doctors' offices. We need construction clothes and rubber shoes. We need to get clothes for larger sized people, and we need maternity clothes. We need to do more programming at night and on weekends, and that's something we're starting, but we need help to do that. The reason we need to do that is because we need to reach the people who can't come from 9 to 5, right? the people who would like our services that can't come from 9 to 5, and the volunteers who so kindly want to spend time with us, who are also busy during that time. These are all things that we want to do, but I truly believe that we need to do. And so you being here today really means so much as you stand by and support the work that we're doing. I encourage you to come and be involved in whatever way works for you. If you're interested in volunteering, Lindsay is here and you can speak with her about opportunities. If you'd like to work on interview skills, we have members of our team here who are involved with that as well. And if you'd like to donate, of course, we would welcome that. That would be lovely. You can donate by texting EMPOWER21 to 44321. It'll pop right up on your phone. You can use the little QR code on the back of the program today, or you can just talk to one of us, or use the submit envelope thing on your table. We appreciate any support you can give. And while I'm talking about that, I want to mention one other part about it. Is something I'm really trying to support here is sort of more monthly donors, is sustained giving. Because if people can give a little bit each month, that helps us understand our revenue source. That helps it to become consistent. And just imagine if you could support us with 1 hour of your salary every month, how much that could do. It would be enormous. There's also awesome creative ways to get involved, and many people in this room have done that, and I'd like to just call out a couple of them. First of all, we have 2 of the women from Environments Northwest here. Gina and, where's my notes? Gina and, I've forgotten your name. Beth, Gina and Beth, where are you? There you are, I'm sorry. Gina and Beth. Gina and Beth are fantastic. If you look at this picture that's up here, this room used to be like basically sort of a storage room. It had burgundy walls and was just kind of a mess. When I walked in there, I was like, what do we use this room for? Well, the team decided, let's change it from that storage room with burgundy walls to a caring, wonderful, beautiful shopping experience for the women who come in. And it's thanks to the creativity and care and sponsorship of people like Environments Northwest and many other companies and volunteers that we were able to create this space. It's sort of like a Nordstrom's right there at Dress. It's amazing. And I can't wait till we have more clients in who can actually enjoy that space. Another exciting thing, and then I'll stop talking in a minute, you guys must be tired of it. Another creative, awesome example of involvement with Dress comes from Maren Roberts-Huntley, who is over here. When I met Maren, I'd been in the job for just about 2 weeks, and she comes into my office, and she's like, I'm running for Mrs. Oregon, and I want to meet you, and I'm raising money for Dress for Success. And she brought so much amazingness and energy, and she made Dress for Success her mission during the run to Mrs. Oregon. She single-handedly raised $10,000 for us. And is continuing that support in her role as Mrs. Oregon, and next month when she goes to Las Vegas to run for Mrs. USA. So, Maren, thank you so much. And of course, we also have our corporate sponsors. I would like to invite Stacey Dodson to the stage, please, such that it is. Sorry, I'm spreading out here. Stacey is the market president for U.S. Bank here in Oregon and Southwest Washington. U.S. Bank has been an enormous supporter of Dress over the years, and I'm excited to hear a little bit about what that means to U.S. Bank, but also what it means to you. Because Stacey, you have like a personal sort of connection to the work we do, right? There's a little button right there.
go. How about that? Much better. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah, for having me here. And I want to, before I answer your question, I just want to say thank you to Leticia and the courage that it takes to make the life decisions that you've been making these last few years. So congratulations to you. You're a powerhouse, I can tell. Yeah, so I have had the privilege of knowing strong women most of my life, and much like Joi on the video, my own mother was a single mom. She was a teenager, age 17, when she was pregnant with my sister, and then I came a little bit later. And so having grown up in a household raised by a single mom who worked 2 jobs just to make sure that my sister and I had what we needed to be successful in our lives, I think when you grow up in an environment like that, it defines who you are and kind of what goes on in your head and your heart when you experience other people who have similar lived experiences. And so whether it's Dress for Success or other organizations that are designed to empower and build women up, those are the organizations that get me every time. So I'm really privileged to actually lead in as a large employer, a majority of which our employees are women, and many of them experiencing many of the things that Leticia talked about. We have employees who are facing those same decisions every single day. And so we have to think a lot about how do we show up for them and how do we support them. And I had an opportunity just this last week to participate in an event with women CEOs from around the United States. And what women are going through during this time is unlike anything that we've experienced, certainly in my lifetime and in many people's lifetime. And the female recession that is the outcome of COVID has really taken everything that is broken in our society for women and made it all the more broken. So you think about these childcare decisions, right? Childcare decisions were hard pre-COVID. Now we have a childcare scarcity issue. Good luck finding someone, much less finding a childcare provider who is affordable. And so what it has really done for women is it has put so much reliance on the employers to be generous and empathetic and to be kind in ways that I don't know that business has always been pushed quite the way we're being pushed right now to support women in the workplace. So all of that, to not in a very concise way answer your question, all of that gets me thinking every single day about the decisions that we make, about the way we show up, and how I personally show up for the women at US Bank, the women that we serve as customers, and the community organizations like yours who make dreams possible. And how can we help be a part of being that dream maker with you?
Well, I can't thank you enough for the support of US Bank. And one other question I wonder about is, when you were a child, what was that relationship like with your mom? You mentioned her, but what was it like looking up to her in those moments?
I listened to Joi on the video, and I thought, you're talking about my mom. This is my mom. But no, she was a bartender and a waitress, so not on the professional track whatsoever, but she worked her tail off. And things like working 2 jobs so that I could have braces, orthodontics. And knowing that when you meet someone in a professional setting, the first thing they see is your eyes and your smile. And she wanted her girls, 2 daughters, to have a smile. So she worked 2 jobs to make sure that we got our orthodontics. She couldn't be there for a lot of the things that a lot of moms are there for. When I had a solo in the choir program, she was working, things like that. But what I always knew is that I was her priority. And she received tremendous support. She did not participate in a Dress for Success or anything quite like that, but we had amazing generosity around us my entire life. And that generosity came in, winter coat drives when we would be home, and my sister and I didn't know how these new winter coats, how we got them, but we sure as heck loved them, and things like that. And so when I think of her, I think about the courage it took for her to get up every single day and put one foot in front of the other, to know that she had two girls that she needed to provide a bright future for, and that she needed to be a model for kindness and generosity for others. And that was one of the things that she modeled for us, is even when she just had the bare minimum, she gave what she had freely to others around us. And we were always surrounded by people who cared for us. If we lived in a neighborhood where she would bake the bread and everyone in our immediate neighborhood would get a loaf of bread. Meanwhile, the garden, the woman that had the amazing garden would give us veggies from the garden. And so it's kind of that village approach. And when I think about Dress for Success, and I think about your women's leader group, and that you can jump in there now, even though you're not technically enrolled, that you can jump in and they're your village, and they're there for you. And that's part of who we are as a society too, is we're the village for one another. So that's how
And
I
we
think about
should say that Leticia got 2 job offers after that experience with Dress.
That's so awesome. That's great, Leticia.
Something that you just said is you mentioned about kindness, and I'm trying to keep the tears out of my eyes because when my mom passed away 8 years ago, I was talking to people, obviously, at the funeral and around that time, and I swear, 8 out of 10 people said, "Your mom was so kind." And I just thought, if I can live that kindness, and if I can be with people who have that kindness in their heart, then that is success. And that's the people in this room. And I just would like to thank all of you. In our last few minutes, we are going to close off with the co-chairs of our board here at Dress for Success. Stacey, thank
Sarah,
you
thank
so
you.
much. I think we're going to hand over the microphones. These are the co-chairs of our board, Christina and Heidi. We're going to give you the last word.
Hi, I'm Heidi Eggert. Hey, excuse me. I got choked up a number of times during the video and everyone else's conversations. Thank you so much for spending part of your morning with us and for contributing in all the many ways that all of you do. I have been involved with the organization, started as a volunteer in the helping women to prepare for job interviews and really understand how they could take all the amazing skills and experiences that they had and turn it into a great professional resume, and then have been on the board for the last 4.5 years and have been fortunate to serve as co-chair with Christina for about 1.5 years.
And I'm Christina Linewan. I am a mother of 2 who actually moved to Oregon about 4 years ago, showed up at a Little Black Dress Circle event, and was promptly on the board about 20 minutes later. So I am actually a physician. I work with Northwest Permanente and Oregon Health and Science University, and I work with families and children every day who we see this impact of Dress for Success. And what I would say is I'm drawn to Dress for its impact as a social justice organization, where not only, when we serve one woman, when we have one woman achieve financial independence, we're not just affecting that one woman. We truly are affecting every generation to come. And so I just want to take the moment. I want to recognize all of you, and I want to thank you for being part of this cyclical phenomenon where we, get the opportunity to touch the lives of women who, in turn, for every dollar they earn, they turn around and invest tenfold into their families, their loved ones, and their community.
Great, thank
you. Last thing I just want to say, I love Empowerment Breakfast. Thank you so much for having Empowerment Breakfast. I think Empowerment Breakfast is one of those events that we go to that we all get to leave understanding what it is to be part of this organization, what it is to support these women, and what it is to be part of this community. And so I appreciate meeting all of you. I appreciate meeting the people at my table. Amy, Shauna, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for attending. We couldn't be here without all of you.
Thank you all.